We're on the beach, baby! Just hit Tiawa just then. Gonna head up for the day. I'm on my own today, so I thought, why not? I'll do another how-to camp four-wheel drive. This time we're on Double Island. But just as I was researching, making sure I've got all my facts right for this video, I realized, why is it actually even called Double Island? Figured it out. It is, in fact, I think it dates right back to when Captain Cook had found this joint. He saw the two mountains at their very headland, and from a distance over the ocean it looks like our little island on the very tip with two humps, I guess, and that's why I got its name Double Island. And it is in fact just a point of land, and the name Double Island has stuck, so yep, that's why. When people say we're going to Double Island, they sort of are talking about the area of land from Noosa to Rainbow. Like, as a general consensus, that's what I mean when I say I'm going to Double Island. So it's the whole of Tiawa, the point up here, and then all the way down the main stretch to Rainbow. That whole stretch is about 51 kilometres in total. There's about 14 kilometres of it on the Tiawa side, which you're allowed to camp on. To get here from Brisbane, you're looking at about 2.5 hours. So it's about an hour from my joint, but yeah, if you're coming down the Bruce, it's about 2 hours north of Brisbane. I've been coming to Double Island for about, I reckon, over 10 years, easy over 10 years now, and to be honest, the rules have changed a little bit in that time, unless I just wasn't aware of them when I started coming. What do you actually need to be allowed to come here? The answer to that is a vehicle permit. It is a national park, you need vehicle permits, and you can do that online at the park's website. You can also go buy them in person at the park's office. I went past one at Noosa North Shore earlier. I'm sure there's places in Rainbow that probably offer the same service, but it does cost more if you go do it in person. And if you're booking camping, I'd recommend you do it on the same website or at the same time you get your vehicle permit. So the vehicle permit's $13.50 per day, $35.50 per week. So obviously if you're going to be here more than 2 or 3 days, you'd get the week. And camping $7 per night. So all in all, pretty affordable little getaway. Factor in the barge to come over from Noosa North Shore is $10 either way if you come that way. Yeah, no, all in all, it's a pretty cheap little getaway. One thing that is kind of important to mention, guys, there is number plate recognition cameras all over the joint here now, so don't try and come without a permit. Otherwise your permit's going to cost a couple $100 fine instead. So it's obviously a lot easier just to get your permits sorted. There's actually 3 locations those cameras are now, and it's the only way to get here, all of them. So there's the Noosa North Shore third cut in, Leisure track, and the freshwater track. They all have cameras. Don't try and come without a permit. Also, there's no service here, so you can't really just pull up at the camera and get your permit on your phone because there's no service. So that's something to remember as well. 3 different ways to get in here. The way I just came through Noosa North Shore over the barge. It's like a little, probably 1-minute barge, but it's $10 either way for cars, more if you have a trailer. Alternatively, if you come from the sort of highway into Rainbow Beach, you have the freshwater track. It's a 4-wheel drive track, which is about a 30-minute drive. Depending on the condition of the track and the traffic that's in there, it can be quicker. If the tide's low, you can just run down the beach at Rainbow Surf Club over there and come straight here down along the cliffs. As per usual, it's a beach, guys, so you don't have to let your tyres down. This is actually quite a basic full driving beach. It's not hard at all, especially if you're here at low tide. It is very easy to drive on this beach. So usual recommendation, 20 psi. If you don't have a gauge, just sort of let them down until they're kind of, you know, visibly flat, at least like sort of halfway. You know, you're aiming for that tire track length, kind of like an army tank, like an excavator. That's what gives you that added sort of traction on top of the sand instead of little discs that just sink and cut into it. So that's the idea behind letting your tires down, in case you didn't know. And also, if you have a modern 4-wheel drive, turn traction control off. It is your worst enemy in soft sand. Traction control off full time. I know the Hiluxes you can press and then hold for 10 seconds and it'll do full time traction off. The Navaras, you can get the override switch, which locks the rear diff and turns off traction control constantly. Depends what you're driving, just look into it, figure it out, it'll make driving in soft sand considerably less stressful. Talk about camping. There's a fair few spots to camp. You do need your permit, so once you go on, you're going to have the options of, the main ones are freshwater or Tiawa Beach. Tiawa is now divided into 7 zones. Zone 1 is the most northern one, closest to where I am now. They go for 14 kilometers. The main beach, Tiawa, there is no amenities. So no toilets, no showers, no cooking, nothing. You're on your own. It's beach camping at its finest, guys. So with that in mind, you've got to take all your own stuff. Freshwater campsites do have a toilet and I believe a cold shower, but on the main beach, Tiawa, there are some new rules which I only just read. The one that is interesting, apparently now you need to bring your own toilet if you're going to be camping on that beach. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know if I got that wrong. And you're not allowed campfires anymore. No exposed flame. You are allowed cooking devices that are fire. Just has to be covered. So you can, if it's elevated and covered, you're allowed it. That might actually sadden a few people to think there's all these rules and regulations now, but the truth is, I've seen it, there's a lot more people coming up here now, so to keep this place looking good and nice and natural, you can't really be lighting 1,000 fires a bloody year on the beach. It just makes a big mess, and everyone using the dunes as toilets. It gets to the point where it's not sustainable anymore, and I believe that's where all the new rules have come from. I mean, it kind of sucks, guys, but you still get to come and enjoy the joint, so it's not really all that bad of a situation, let's be honest. Once you hit the beach, end to end, there is no supplies, there's no shops, there's no sort of anything really. You're out here on your own, although, I mean, the area isn't that big of an area to deal with. End to end, 51 kilometers, I'm pretty sure I read, of beach to drive. Worst case scenario, you're driving half an hour, 40 minutes to get to a shop either end, either Rainbow or Noosa North Shore sort of end. There is a pub that I just remembered that we went past at Noosa North Shore, and obviously the other way you've got Rainbow Beach, which is a complete town. They've got everything in there. Yeah, once you're on the beach camping, you're going to need your own stuff, your own food, everything, all that normal stuff if you're camping. Regarding fuel, you'd probably just want to fill up before you come, but I don't see anyone going through a full tank of fuel when they go camping at Double Island, unless you're going to be here for like a month or something. Rubbish, there is actually skip bins located at intervals along the section with camping, so it's about 14 kilometers of camping, so at intervals through there you'll find big skip bins where you can dump your rubbish in. But another top tip when you're camping around here, there's not that many animals to worry about, but there is goannas, and they'll go through your food and scraps at night, so you need to keep the rubbish like tied up onto a gazebo or your car or something, or just locked away, and they won't go through it and make an absolute mess, because I've seen it happen before. Pesky little buggers. There's actually not any animals here to really worry about, nothing deadly. There is snakes obviously in the dunes and goannas, but really there's no like dingoes or kangaroos. I don't think there's any pigs, or like I've never seen any of that here. Pretty safe to camp at night. Just keep in mind the snakes, you don't want to sneak around in the bush at night, that could be an issue. No, you're not allowed to bring your dog, unfortunately. The entire area is national park, so no domestic animals. There is a section as you drive in on at Noosa North Shore, there is like, I think like a kilometre or so, it's classed as Noosa, so they allow dogs on the beach there. But it's not very far up, and you'll see a sign that says no more domestic animals past this point, because from there north is kind of considered national park, so you get into all the rules of this sort of area. Coming here over a fair few years now, I've seen the sort of sand, it changes a lot season to season. Some years you can get away with driving at any point, but the general rule of thumb is don't drive like an hour either side of high tide. I have seen it be completely not possible. Some years the sand is so low that the tide is right up to the trees. There is no way you're getting back, so don't even try. I've seen cars trying to high side the dunes, and man, it collapses and they roll. Just an absolute disaster, especially if it's your first time here or you don't have experience driving off-road. Just don't drive at high tide, it's not a good idea. I don't want to scare anybody, this is probably one of the easiest places to learn how to four-wheel drive. It's like literally as easy as it gets. So come and have a good time. Just be very careful, be mindful if you're new to the area. It'd be very possible to bring a trailer or camper van here as well. So just if you're at low tide, it'll be a piece of cake to tow something up. jet skis, boats, launch them right here. Easy as. So maybe you're wondering, all right, looks pretty nice, but what is there to do there? Well, let me tell you guys. Let's get out of the wind. South to north. As you hit the beach going up Tiawa, the first little sightseeing adventure you might want to stop at is the Red Canyon. Pretty cool little spot, especially got kids. They love sort of climbing up through the canyon. Really cool for photos, great view. Really red sand with a blue water contrast at the background. Looks great. So yeah, I can recommend that one. It's only like a 20-minute stop, but pretty cool. If you're going north, that's probably when you're going to hit. It might be best idea to go find your camp spot, get set up, and then keep moving actually. Stop at Red Canyon. Then you can either go all the way to the point, or just before you get to the point, you hit the Leisure track, which cuts through to where I am right now. Most surfers will want to go to the other side, better surf on the other side. It's generally more wind affected, especially in summer, because of it's Queensland, we get the easterlies. On this side, it's pretty protected. You're not going to get the other side good unless you've got westerly wind, which would flip the case where it would be windy on this side instead. You can walk up to the lighthouse from either side, this side or that side. The lighthouse walk is definitely worth it. Being generous, it's probably like an hour return because you're going to be up there, take a few photos, hang out, check out the view. But it's pretty cool, like pretty cool little spot. Amazing views. If it's winter time, you get to see often you will see whales, turtles, dolphins, everything in the ocean. Is pretty cool, guys. Highly recommend. Make sure you take your water if you go up there, because in summer at least it can get very hot and it's a fair way back down. But then you have the option to come over to this side here, straight through the Leisure track, and this is what people commonly call this the lagoon side, and it's often more protected from the wind because it's a bit of a cove. Snorkeling, lie around in the lagoon and floaties, launch your jet ski, go surfing up at the point. There's a pretty good longboard wave depending on swell. Snorkeling, diving offshore, I'm pretty sure, like, there is a lot of cool stuff here you can do. As well as just relax, take it all in, crystal clear water. This is a really nice spot to spend your day over this side. And obviously, like I said before, you can actually walk up to the lighthouse from this side as well. Or if you need to go into town for supplies, you just run down pretty much down the cliffs all the way to Rainbow. There is a big sand blow halfway down, you'll see, it's pretty easy to make out. But yeah, it's also a really cool spot to get photos along the cliffs over there. Like, they look amazing. And another top tip, I actually accidentally figured this out one day. I was coming home at sunrise, coming home that way. Because the sun rises over there, you get this wicked sunrise all the way down the water. It's insane. So, pretty cool to see that too. But yeah, you're gonna wanna do that at low tide, guys, typically, and sometimes this can be trees, debris, rocks and everything. Sometimes it is just not possible to go that way. So be careful, be mindful of that, if it's high tide especially. The other main way out of this area is you go back through the Leisure track, head south, and then the next cut in is the freshwater track. That heads straight through to the highway that goes into Rainbow Beach. About a half-hour trek. About halfway along the track, you'll find that there is a lesser known little swimming spot called Puna Lake. It's about a 1 kilometre walk in, real rainforesty, and you can swim in there. Super nice. So if you're chasing just that one extra thing to throw into your schedule, you can go stop at Puna Lake. And there is one more thing, let's be honest, it's not really a camping or full drive thing. The Great Kalula Walk, 102 kilometres. It's meant to be a 5-day hike. I assume you like camp all along the top of the cliffs or something. That is an option if you don't even want to bring your car. You can just go do the Great Walk for 5 days. So with regards to emergency services, there is no fire station or ambulance. There's no police station. There are the rangers. The rangers are actually patrolling. There's a fair few of them. Depending on times, peak times, you'll see 3 or 4 different rangers getting around. Just checking everything's in order, but the police, there's not many here. I did see one guy today, but often in peak times, they set up doing speed tests and RBTs, all the usual stuff. In front of the camping's 50 kilometres an hour. and all the main beaches is 80 kilometers an hour, but it is all signed, so just keep an eye out for the signs and you'll be fine, guys. So basically, after you finish having the time of your life at Double Island, you're going to want to head home. It's important, as always, to wash your vehicle. And luckily for you guys, there is an underbody wash at both Rainbow and Noosa North Shore just before you hit the barge. And in my opinion, the one at Noosa is slightly more powerful. But basically, you just drive forward, in and out, just slowly. Woo! You just go in and back and forward slowly, and it blasts water up. Pretty cool. But highly recommend the one at Noosa. Basically, all you're going to have to do once you get home is flush your chassis out. The rest of the hard work's pretty much done. It does a pretty good job, in my opinion, although it is about $20. Keep that in mind, it's not cheap. Hopefully I gave you a little bit of a helping hand if you've never been here or you wanted some tips and it helped you out. I also have 2 more episodes like this, exactly pretty similar, just going through everything that you need to know if you're interested. I've done one on Fraser and Moreton Island, so I'll leave them in the description. We'll be back next week as per usual. So yeah, thanks again guys, see you soon. Don't waste your weekend. Woo!